I just want to say this is not an instructional video on how to work on tube amplifiers. This is just a video showing you what I did and how I solved a problem I had. So I got this used Vibrolux a couple days ago, and it got a great deal on it. And I think part of the reason it stayed in the store for a while was it had an issue. And the issue was, although it sounded fantastic, there was a little bit of a rattle and a high-pitched kind of sound. The issue with the amp was very easy to diagnose and very easy to fix. It's really hard to show you guys, but I want to kind of try to show you in this room just by using the guitar cable. I'm going to just touch the input, and you can probably hear a glassy high-pitched sound. Okay? I don't know how much of that's going to come through the internet, but don't worry, we'll go into detail in a minute. So obviously that high-pitched glassy tone means you have a microphonic tube. And I think that's why this amp sat in the store for a while and why I was able to get a deal on it. I think a lot of players plugged into it, thought, this amp has an issue, and just moved on. When I went through it, I was like, wow, I think this issue is a simple tube issue, and I think the amp's a great amp. Let's check it out. So I'm going to show you how I diagnose the tube and how we fix it. Okay, so hopefully you can see me. So the amplifier is turned on right now. I don't have it in standby mode, but you could leave it in standby mode. But I want to hear something. And we're going to do what's called a chopstick test. Now it's called a chopstick test because you usually use a wooden chopstick. I'm going to use this wooden stick. You can use the handle of a wooden spoon even if you had to. You can use a piece of plastic. I don't recommend it because they're hot and you can always damage the tube or the plastic if it melts. Don't use metal, obviously you can crack the glass. Just use a piece of a wooden stick very lightly. Go ahead and turn the amp back off standby. Now what we're going to do is tap the preamp tubes. Hear that? Now listen. I want you to understand how light I'm tapping on this tube. There is no way I could break this tube. I'm not hitting at hard at all. Hear that? That is your tube. That's why it's ringing. See? You shouldn't hear any noise from the tube. It's microphonic. So in this particular case, we'll go ahead and turn this off. Obviously, wait a few minutes for it to cool down. Now we're going to remove the tube. Pull it straight down. This is the groove tube that's in question. It's a GT12 AT7. Ironically, to me, in my experience, groove tube 12 ATs are the worst tubes that are going to fail. I shouldn't say the most, the worst tubes. These are the ones that fail the most. So I'm going to replace it with a JJ. Here's the JJ equivalent tube. And we're going to go ahead and just load that in. It's very important that you don't bend the prongs and that you line it up correctly and push it just straight in. Now this is a preamp tube, which means you will not have to bias the amp. We're not changing the power tubes, just the preamp tubes. Go ahead and turn it on. Now something else to note at this point is there is shields on these, so in case some of you are asking, I had to remove them. You cannot tap the tubes with the shields on them, they won't work. Now, let the amp warm up for a few seconds. So now that the tube's installed, let's go ahead and test them. And now you don't hear anything. Now let's check the amp, make sure the amp's still working. Okay, now we're not hearing any of that tinging glass-like sound. Go ahead and grab the guitar. Turn that reverb down. No more rattle. No more tinging sound. And now we have a great amplifier, and I saved about $200, and that was not a problem at all to change out. If you'd like to see a review of this amplifier, I'd love to do one for you. Just put in the comments down below that you'd like to see a review of the amplifier specifically. Otherwise, look forward to seeing it in other videos where I'm reviewing other things. As always, guys, thank you so much for your time. And in this case, definitely know your gear. Please keep in mind that tube amplifiers are very dangerous and you can hurt yourself, especially if you don't know what you're doing, or even worse, you're armed with just a piece of information. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the rest in the series. Or you can go to www.knowyourgear.net to check out interesting articles and reviews, look at our extensive catalog of repair videos, or you can check out our weekly KYG podcast Fridays at 3 p.m. either on YouTube, iTunes, or SoundCloud.